Hello? Hello? Ring ring, is anyone
Ring
there?
ring, I'm Zoe.
Oh, and I am Ben.
And this is Penny in the Landline, episode 8.
Great number.
8 for we ate.
Welcome. Oh.
We eat boots, Queen House boots 8.
We ate and we left no gluten-free crumbs. You guys are full. You guys are full and fed. We are feeding our fans today.
Shall we go through the structure of our very epic podcast? So,
oh, of course.
As usual, every single week, I was gonna say him and I, well, like you're him, Ben and I, he and I.
Him, capital H-I-M.
Believe in capital H-I-M.
Who the heck no other way?
Ben,
Who the heck no
capital
other way?
B-E-N and I discuss a topic. We each bring a secret topic, and we talk about it over our little landlines. I'm once again very ill, so I do apologize for my voice and my vibes. My topic, and I'm kind of worried, I don't think we've done this topic yet, and it's already starting to get to the point where I'm like, have I already talked about this? I don't know. My topic today is sleep. Me. So, honk shoe.
We've definitely covered sleep in some context of something else. We've never done sleep as a whole concept.
I think we are two very, like, we kind of talked about it in one episode about how both of us are very sleepy coded. I mean, shout out to Tom, you own one of those sleepy boy hats now. Those long
I do.
long hats that like cartoon men wear to sleep with their little candlesticks. So yeah,
like Ebenezer Scrooge McDuck.
Yes. But yeah, I wanted to talk about sleep because sleep is one of my hobbies. It's one of my passions. I love to sleep, but I also hate to sleep, and sometimes it can be the worst thing in the world, and a nap at the wrong time or a nap that goes on too long. I mean, we were meant to record an episode together, and both Ben and I were asleep, and we didn't record the episode on time because we were both sleeping
We were.
at the same time.
It's actually dweeb behavior. Like, it's genuinely dweeb. Like, there are some people who like are running around like living these crazy lives. I'm like, oh, do you mind if we reschedule because it's 6 p.m. and I am asleep like a newborn baby. But sorry, I can't. Ben had to be put down for his nap today. Sorry. We have to put the baby down for his nap.
We have to burp him and put him down for his nap. Because this is the thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm very. I vividly remember a time when I was like a kid or even a teenager where I thought that naps were the worst thing in the world. Like if my parents were like, "You're taking a nap," I'd be like, "No!" Like I just never wanted to. I just wanted to be awake. And then I don't know when, I just started taking naps. I think maybe it was in like my last year of high school, but I think it was more in university. Like I really was not a napper. And then all of a sudden it became like part of my personality. So have you always been a napper, Ben? Or is it something you've acquired, like a taste to fine wine and coffee?
I think I've become more of a napper in recent years. I think probably after school time. I definitely wasn't napping when I was at school.
Yeah.
I think I used to be up really, really late, like every night when I was at school. I was one of those people. But I think like I definitely started napping more at uni just because my schedule was so bizarre.
Yes.
Like it was so obviously uni lectures and stuff are really weird. And also like, I really struggle to sleep at night. So I think like I'm just not a very good nighttime sleeper. So I think like in general, like I get so tired in the middle of the day, which does create this kind of perpetual cycle of like, oh, I can't sleep at night because I've too well slept in the day. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, I slept in the day, so I'm not going to be able to fall asleep at night, and that's kind of the cycle I get stuck in a little bit.
Yeah.
And also my hours are so ridiculous at work because I have like literally the worst job on earth. That's all I'm going to say about it. Literally the worst job on earth. Second to working in a mall. I literally come back from work and I'm just so unbelievably tired because my hours are so antisocial. So it doesn't make for a very good like schedule.
Yeah,
really,
I remember.
You know?
I could be completely wrong because again, as usual, I never research these things. I just regurgitate what I see on social media. So please, someone tell me I'm wrong. But I read this thing about how pre-industrial revolution, the way that people slept was very, very different. Like, people were more likely to sleep in like increments of like a few hours, and then they would like get up and do stuff, and then they would sleep again. So you'd like sleep for 3 hours and then do something and then sleep for another 3 hours. But once the industrial revolution happened, it was much more like regimented, like the hours you were working. And I think about it, I'm like, it kind of makes sense because like back in the day, you know, when we were cavemen, someone had to be awake at night and someone had to be awake in the day. So of course we all have different sleeping patterns, but we're all forced to obey the 9 to 5 sleeperaging, and sometimes I don't think it's really fair. So I thought that was really interesting.
Well, this time of year is so not fair for that either, because realistically, like, it's human beings are animals, and animals do hibernate or have extreme lengths of rest in the winter, and so there's no surprise that like we are so, as I'm jumping into semi-different vein, but like we are also like depressed at winter because we have this kind of like summer schedule in the wintertime that doesn't really add up. Like, we should be able to nap more because we kind of need it, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually starting to remember I used to nap a lot, especially in my last years of high school. I used to nap a lot like at lunch because we had really weird schedules as well. Like, we had loads of free periods. So I do remember, like, I would just sleep in the cafeteria or I would just sleep in the theater somewhere. And I just think about it. I'm like, God damn, like, why were we doing that? I would just sleep. I would just find somewhere and sleep during the day because we were so stressed out. And but at the same time, I love a little nap. You know, sometimes it's kind of fun.
I do think the feeling of a nap is so soothing and so lovely and relaxing. I mean, but then it does get to a point where you do like last night, where both of our naps ruined plans.
Yeah, to be honest, I've apart from the other day, because again I've been ill, I've actually had to stop taking naps because it just gets so debilitating. Like yesterday when I fell asleep, I don't think I set an alarm or something, and I woke up to my roommate playing Sugar We're Going Down Swinging by Fall Out Boys, and I had this weird moment because,
oh my god,
because I
that's scary.
Because I kind of woke up and I was like, because this is the type of music I used to listen to when I was like a teenager, so I was kind of like in this bizarre state. I was like, am I back in 2015? And I was like, oh, is it the next day? And I was like so confused, and then I was like, oh my god, it's 6 p.m. Ben wants to record the episode, and I was so stressed and sad, and then turned out you were sleeping too. I was. And speaking, as I'm sort of winding down, getting sleepy for the end of my section, we could maybe briefly speak about dreams. I think nap dreams could be some of the wackiest ones, by the way, because it's like, what the hell is going on?
Don't.
But I'm curious to know, have you ever lucid dreamt before?
Like being kind of awake, but like not.
It's
awake?
kind of like you're in a dream. It's like you're in the dream and you realize you're in a dream, and then you can like do what you want. You can like fly around or do whatever you want. Have you ever experienced that before?
Yeah, I have had that before. I've had things similar to that. I've had a lot of peculiar things. I've had a really, you know, like I can't just be a normal person. I've had some really rogue sleeping routines in my life. I used to do a lot of sleepwalking when I was a kid. I used to do a lot of like, I used to have night terrors when I was quite a little kid. So I used to freak everyone out because I'd be like, eyes are awake, but Ben was asleep and I was screaming. And I've had, I know, really bad vibes, but I've had lucid dreaming. I have been able to control what I've been doing in my dreams a few times. It's quite fun, actually. It's like a little video game.
I'm glad. Because I've done it before. I haven't done it in a while. I think I've done it like maybe once in the last year, but I haven't. A lot of the people I know have never experienced it, so it's nice to know that you have. And it's funny you were talking about sleepwalking. I kind of have a fear of sleepwalking. I used to do I wouldn't get up and walk around, but I would do weird shit. Like I apparently once I was doing math in French on the wall. I was doing calculations in French. Hilarious. When I was like a little kid. But I actually have a fear of people sleepwalking. Because my mom used to do it a lot, and it would freak me out because she would talk as if she were awake, and I'd be like, "Mom, this isn't you. This isn't you. Wake up."
Wait. wait, let's circle back to that. You used to do maths on the walls.
Well, there's one time
Wait, you'd wake up and you'd. I'm sorry, this is giving very Ring, kind of Japanese horror, like very like Omen, Exorcist, kid coded of like doing really obscure, horrible things whilst you're asleep. Where you'd wake up and like, what you do, like Pythagoras' theorem on your parents' walls?
No.
Like, what is going on?
I think I only did it once, but my dad saw me once, and I was like kneeling on the edge of my bed on the wall, and in like as a little kid, like maybe like 8 or something. And I was just doing, like, additions. I was, like, going, 2 plus 4 égale 6.
What did you have a pen and were you writing?
No, I think I was just doing it with my finger. And it wasn't a recurring thing. It was one time.
Can you imagine if you were to, like, become the next Einstein via sleep? And you had like your little marker, and you wake up in the morning, you'd be like, oh my god, I've solved everything.
I'm not joking. People have actually, I've read this on the internet as well, so they could all be lying to me. People have actually had this thing, like especially like programmers and people who code. They've like been working on a code or something and had a problem, and then they've dreamt the solution, and then it's actually right in real life. Again, it could be very wrong, but sometimes it's one of those things where it's like maybe your subconscious does know the solution of something, and it just has to be revealed. I don't know. I do hope those people are being real and they're not tricking me on my bed. What if the programmers are tricking me?
Oh well, honestly, I think the programmers are probably I don't know, who knows. But I mean I think dreams are such a fascinating thing, because I have had some dreams where I've woken up and I've been like, that was the worst experience I've ever had. Like I've woken up and I'm like my life is forever different. Like even when we stayed in Manchester, me and you, and we slept in that on Will's living room, and I woke up and I'd had a dream that I was like arrested and put in prison for something I didn't do. And everyone in like the world hated me, and like everyone was like, oh my god, you're a monster. And I was like, I didn't do it. Like the crime, I don't know what the crime was. I can't recall what the crime was. It was something really pathetic as well. Like it wasn't even an interesting crime. It was something really measly and like really really particular. And they were like, and everyone was like, you are like a bad person. You've been put in prison. And I woke up and I was like, oh my god, am I in prison? And then it was so awful. The feeling is awful because your brain can't like differentiate really between like what's real and what's not when you're in that kind of space.
And I think I've had a very similar dream to yours, but completely the opposite, where I dreamt that I had killed a person of like quite like high political standing. And I went into hiding for 10 years and I got away with it. I got away with killing someone. And then 10 years after I did it, some like online conspiracy theorists something like were like, we're going to crack open this cold case. And I was stressing out. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna get found out. I thought I did the perfect crime, but now these people on YouTube and Instagram and Reddit are like going to find me. So I was stressing out because I woke up going, oh, I never committed the crime, but I was
it's crazy that your brain has these kind of intrinsic fears. But I think for me, and we'll end on this one for your section, because I think this is a really fun, light, frothy one. When I was 19, I had a dream that I was skateboarding with Jamie Oliver, and he skateboarded over my balls, and he caused like severe damage to my body. And I woke up and I was in tears, floods of tears. And for those like 15-20 seconds before I realised what was going on, I thought that maybe my balls had genuinely been run over by Jamie Oliver. And that 20 seconds was so distressing and so anxiety inducing.
Perfect.
And I thought that'd be a fun one to end
good.
on.
On that note, is your next topic balls or Jamie Oliver?
No, balls and Jamie Oliver are not being discussed any further today. I can't believe I've shared that with the public, but that dream had such an intense effect on my mind for a while. It was awful, and I was really angry at Jamie Oliver, but that's beyond the point. My topic today of discussion, I've been thinking a lot about this the last few days. I even texted you, didn't I, being like, I'm really happy with this one. Like, I'm really proud of myself. It's quite obvious. It's quite basic. I think we maybe might have covered elements of it before. I don't think we have. Is the thing I wanted to cover today is what celebrities as a thing, but not celebrities as a whole thing, the subsection of celebrities being their personal lives. So this stems from the Ariana Grandini, who is otherwise known as Ariana Grande, who released her latest single, Yes
Yeah,
and I don't know if you've heard
the
it.
improv
Yes
classic.
and it's kind of it's kind of a bop. Have you heard the song? Have
I've
you heard the
only
song?
heard the clip, the main part. I've not listened to the whole song.
Yeah, it's it's not going to break any new ground, but like it's pretty fun. But it's all in response to her getting a lot of backlash over the last few years about her personal life because she
Mm,
was, you know, kind of engaged a few times, and then she was married to this guy and then they got
yeah.
divorced, and then she started dating the guy who plays
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob on Broadway.
Yes.
Yes, crazy. Obviously, he has a ex-wife and a very newborn baby, and they got together in a very inconspicuous, well, not conspicuous actually, timeline where they're kind of working together because he's in the new
Mm,
Wicked movie, and they're kind of all working
yes.
and the timeline's unpleasant, and
Okay.
then the ex-wife came out and said, oh, like, this Ariana Grande is not a girl's girl, yada yada yada. And it made me think, because there's a lyric in the song that says, explicit statement coming, team, um why do you care whose dick I ride? Which is I know, so naughty, oh, how inappropriate, but I scrub my mouth out right now. But that is such an interesting sentiment that Ariana
Mm,
Grandini has, because the question is, you she financially benefits from her personal life being public in a way that we can never even
mm.
understand because it keeps her relevant. But then they have the audacity to go through these songs and have a go at people for discussing her personal life when she makes her personal life so deliberately public to keep her
Mm.
famous and to make her money. And I guess the general discussion is, celebrities' personal lives, are they off limits? Are they up for discussion? Because it's so complicated, because they often just deliberately, it frustrates me because sometimes I feel as though it's a give and take. It's like,
Mm.
oh, we don't want, oh, like, please don't discuss my personal life until I want you to. And it's like, well, where's the line? And I want to know your opinion on that?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very what a interesting topic. You did do a very good job, Ben. And I'm
Thank
not
you.
gonna get into super controversial land, but it kind of reminds me of the whole Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing, the whole trial, and it's that sort of thing where it's
Yes.
like, oh, should that have been easily consumable for thousands and thousands and thousands of people when it's like this, again, like it's quite going to trial for crimes is quite a personal life
Yeah.
thing, and yet it's very heavily televised and like people making reaction videos and analysis, and I'm like, oh my god. But then again, it's like, oh well, now it's something people are talking about, it's something, and then as you said, like in other situations, like again, personal life can make the celebrities profit off of it. I mean, for me, it makes me think especially of parasocial relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the content I follow tends to be for like probably lower band celebrities that aren't like top of the list eight whatever tier, but just low enough where it's like, oh, it feels like we're friends, but obviously it's like, no, we're not friends. It's just that the content they make has enough like personal information that it feels like you know them, but obviously you don't. And that's a whole discussion of like, is that ethical? Is that like healthy for the celebrity? What does that entail? Like, I myself find it very enjoyable when depending on what the situation is, like when celebrities kind of like feed into that, because it feels like we're in on the joke, we're friends, but then it's like, oh, we're time to be delusional.
It's parasocial relationships. I think we all do have parasocial relationships, and I think it's so funny how the same celebrities that criticize these parasocial relationships benefit from them massively. And that
Yep.
does come into what I'm saying about the Ariana Grande thing. It's like, she doesn't want people to have her name in their mouths, and doesn't want
Mm-hmm.
them to be discussing who she's sleeping with. But at the same time, unfortunately, the state of celebrity requires us to have an interest in these personal lives in order to maintain their level of fame. No one, unfortunately, you can't be as famous as someone like Ariana Grande, or, even more so, Taylor Swift,
Mm-hmm.
without having that element of their personal lives out in the public as well. If they didn't have
Yeah.
that personal connection, their fame wouldn't even be a tenth of what it is. That's not to say that they're not talented and that their position isn't, they're not, you know, worthy of where they're at in the industry, but people want to know and are desperate to be invested in their personal lives, and to then snap back at people, the same people that got you where you are because of their interest in you, it feels a little bit like biting the hand that feeds you. And I think it's very complicated, and the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard one is a much darker, obviously, you know, it's a very controversial topic, but like that is bizarre in and of itself, because like that was such, we do feel like we know them, but you don't know them. You don't know these people. It's so toxic and it's so bizarre. But then, do we also have a right to them? Do we have the right to them? Because they've offered themselves up on a platter, and it's like, are we just taking what they're giving, or are we asking for too much? It's really interesting. I don't think there's a clear answer, but I'm just interested to hear your thoughts.
No, I mean, it is. It just makes me think. I mean, your favorite topic in the world is, again, the death of the monoculture, and how people are like, you know, the ways to stay relevant more and more, and is like, I was gonna make an allusion that was not going to be very appropriate. I'm not gonna say it, but it's kind of,
oh my god, please say it, please.
It's the sort of thing where it's like, now people, you can't, when you become famous, people expect so much more of your information. People want to have an Instagram that they can follow. People want to have cameos. People want to be able to interact with you, talk to you, know about you. And I don't know how it was back in the day, but like, it feels like, because celebrity culture has gotten so bizarre and intense so quickly, that people are just offering up all this stuff on a platter without really, you know, maybe considering the consequences, or maybe they just feel like they have to. Like, I mean, it makes me think a bit about like Pete Davidson and like all the memes about like all the women he's like getting with and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Pete Davidson at all, except that everyone's like, is he with Ice Spice right now? And I'm like, I actually don't care, but I know about it.
It's so bizarre. Like, it's so bizarre, because also we're kind of gone past this period where publicists have any control over how a celebrity's image is controlled. So how a celebrity is presented, because all these celebrities, obviously they have social media teams, they have, you know, they still have publicists and agents and marketers and whatever, but they do kind of, for a large part of it, control their own public output, and they often don't even, because the celebrity themselves often isn't very well trained in how to present themselves. They often just give a little bit too much. They give a little bit too much away, and they tease people in, and then they close the doors, and people are like, oh wait, but you've told me you're dating someone, why can't we know who it is? And it's very complicated, and you know, the internet, social media has made that so much more complicated. It's just really interesting, I think, in terms of these celebrities that benefit so massively from monetizing their personal relationships, to then snap back and be like, oh, get out of my business. It's like, well, what is it exactly that you're looking for? And I think, like, you're right, people do kind of have to do some really, really strange, more odd things to remain popular, because it's so funny, because I'm not gonna lie, I would have had absolutely no idea that Ariana Grande was having some strange relationship with this guy if he hadn't played SpongeBob. Because the internet made it into a meme that Ariana Grande was dating SpongeBob, and it's like, but the thing is you're right, in the sense that, like, it's very clear that, like, the reason the Ariana Grande thing was such a hotly discussed topic is because she picked SpongeBob of all people to date. It's just funny, isn't it? It's like, you know, and the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing's peculiar, because Johnny Depp has always had really public relationships, and Amber Heard is so much younger than him, and all these things. And it's like, we have to have an element of things that are a little bit weird in order for us to be truly fascinated by them. And I think these things are so rare these days. There's only a handful of these big events that people really get hooked on. And I'm kind of the opinion that, in a sense, obviously, I wouldn't want to be a celebrity and have my whole idea of life and personality picked apart in the way that, like, Taylor Swift does, Ariana Grande does, but in some shape or form, I'd kind of be a little bit grateful, because it's so hard. And hear me out, it sounds really mean, like, you should be grateful that you're being harassed. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, you should be grateful that you have had some sort of moment, whether it be good or bad, because it's so hard to get people's attention these days that, I mean, at least you got their attention. Like, at least you've got people are talking about you, and that's, you know, in order to remain famous in a world where everyone's famous, you kind of have to be doing things that are a little bit more out there, and it doesn't make it right that she's kind of stolen SpongeBob from his wife. Stolen SpongeBob from Pearl. But you know what I mean? It's like...
So SpongeBob from Patrick.
Yeah, literally. And yes, it's also a level of weirder because Ariana Grande's SpongeBob boyfriend looks like her brother. And
yes, he does.
It's these weird layers to the story. If it had just been some regular guy, no one would probably care. Like, you picked SpongeBob, who's identical to your homosexual brother. It's just really bizarre. Like, and I kind of live for these little tidbits because you can't even fathom that where they're going to come from. Like, how on earth could we have predicted at the beginning of 2023 that Ariana Grande would get divorced and run off with a man who plays SpongeBob that looks identical to her brother? Who could have guessed?
Yeah.
I just think it's so fascinating, you know?
And it just reminds me, people are people, you know? People are
powerful.
people. And women will go and date SpongeBob, and it's just how... Sometimes you end up dating someone who looks like your twink brother. Sometimes that's just what happens.
I'm sorry. Do you? Like, it's just the most bizarre. I think it's so complicated. But at the end of the day, like, we are so fascinated by their lives because, like, her music is about her breakup. So, like, what are you saying? Like, if we stop talking about it, girl, no one's gonna listen to you. Like, that's not even like diminishing her talent. Like, obviously she's an amazing singer, but like, your personal life is integral to your commercial success. Yeah. And Taylor Swift, same kind of vein here. Like, she's like, oh, everyone loves to talk about, you know, the rumours that maybe she's bisexual and dates a woman, and but then she drops Easter eggs constantly about her potentially dating a woman. It's like, well, what do you want here? Like, do you want people to talk about you? Do you not want people to talk about you? Or is this all just one big ploy to get people to talk about you, but you want to act like they don't? It's like, oh, my brain is so confused.
Yeah, that moment when Ariana Grande is dating SpongeBob, and then Pete Davidson is maybe Ice Spice, and then Taylor Swift is maybe into, you know. I've actually had enough. It all connects. Taylor Swift is the twink brother.
Oh my god! Now that is the movie that I want to see. I want to see a kind of Knives Out style kind of mystery based in a Beverly Hills mansion where it stars Pete Davidson, Ice Spice, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, and Ariana Grande's twink brother, but all Frankie, but also Ariana Grande's twink brother boyfriend SpongeBob.
But also the guy in, what's his name in Knives Out with his twinky southern accent. Him as well.
Twinky southern accent? Which one's in that? Oh, Daniel Craig?
Yes.
Do you think Daniel Craig's a twink?
No, it's just his accent as Twinkie. Very important.
I'm sorry. Zoe has a thing for Twinkie Daniel Craig. I'm sorry, guys.
Who doesn't?
James, we heard it here first. James Bond was the original twink.
Listen, anyone can twink hard enough if they believe in themselves. Okay. I want to watch that movie. So Knives Out 3. Here we go again. Knives Out 3. Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
Knives Out 3. Under the sea.
Yeah.
Perfect. Who lives in a
Bikini Bottoms. Yeah,
Bikini. Oh, Knives
Bottoms.
Out 3. Bottoms is a great movie. Knives Out 3, who's under my bikini bottoms. That's a fun one.
I think we've got it. I think we've workshopped it. We can go home. That's a wrap. That's a wrap, everyone.
That's a wrap. You know, I think people from the rise of TikTok and social media and how fascinated people are with like really peculiar things, I think that movie would do really well.
Yeah, I'd make it. I'm gonna call Taylor Swift.
That's what we can do. Hey, we're going to start a crowdfunder.
Yes.
We're going to start a crowdfunder where we're going to reach out to SpongeBob Twink Ariana Grande boyfriend and ask if he wants to be involved in this movie.
love just
Yes.
talking without adjective and be an improv class with my tweet. Okay, we have to wrap it up somewhere.
We do.
Okay, we're here kind
Okay.
of every Friday, usually every Friday. Again, lest we remind you, we are doing this not for profit at the moment. It's our hobby, so maybe it's not every Friday perfectly. Okay, guys, we are busy, but we're trying our best. We do normally every Friday. We are here on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please leave a comment. Please follow us. Please leave ratings, and feedback. Again, we're
Please
more
read
than
us. Read us.
no.
in the
Please
comments.
don't read us. Don't read us, please.
No, don't do that. Please. We can't
Please
handle it.
don't tell Ariana Grande that we were talking about her, because she'll make Yes and 2, Penny and the Landline edition.
Oh, she'll have a remix. Yes,
Yeah.
and brackets. At Penny in the Landline, all
Yeah.
lowercase, because obviously everything's in lowercase for her. 'cause
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
small
exactly.
and petite.
Yeah, exactly. Relax with us, take your landline out, and dial up, okay? This has been Penny and the Landline, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Twirly, twirly,
On the
twirl.
flip side, twirly twirl, hang up now, queens. Bye.
Beep, beep, beep.